Yeah, my people, welcome back. And when I say welcome back, it's another Friday again, and we are here feeling good, you know, embracing the energy, feeling the vibes, feeling the love, spreading the love as well. It's a new day, a new dawn, right? And everything is good here, and welcome back to another. I don't want to say episode, another chapter, right? And this chapter today here on the Naked Truth, which we're discussing, and we've been discussing the Bible, the authenticity of this book. We're trying to just to make sure that everything here is valid, and what we're saying about what we're talking about. Welcome, big up yourself, Trinity boy, out there, man. We're out there, and it's all about educating and supporting our community. So we're trying to, we're teaching and letting people understand, uh, you know, that the book is the Bible, the complete word of the Most High, and this is what we get into. So we break down history. We're talking about different things when it comes to the Bible, and the approach we should have, how we view the Bible. Before we take everything for face value, we should understand the origin, of where these things derive from, and and the information, right? The information, how it got into the hands of different people. If it, if this history didn't belong to another group or another nation of people, how did this nation today have the information? How did they, you know, how did they obtain this information? Was it some agreement? Was it obtained because they had an agreement to share information? Was it obtained because they had a war and they invaded and they took whatever spoil from these people? So this is what we have to understand. And based on the Bible, you understand that Israel, or the Israelites, the people of God, the saints, they had no relationship with other nations outside. They weren't allowed to. So, there you go. That's one of the main evidence for you to realize that, if someone have their literature, how did they get it? Did they sell it? Did one of them, stole it and sold it to the other nation? How did they get it? And when you're reading the book, it's basically telling you about the same people. Israel, the laws, the statutes, the giving of the law, everything is giving to these people, even in the very end. As Christianity will try to tell you that they no longer exist. But if we read carefully, we're going to understand that they do exist and they still exist, you know? So, so we have to pay attention when we read. Sorry, I'm trying to look for something here as I'm talking. You know, so we understand that even when you go to church and you learn about these things, they will tell you. They will tell you that what the Israelite don't exist no more, and then the Christians are the replacement of the Israelites somehow, because they would say that the Israelites, they killed the Messiah, and they rejected him, and according to how they tried to write the scriptures to suit their agenda, right? They will tell you all kinds of different things, when it comes to the scriptures, just to fit themselves in it. But let's go to Romans 1, just to warm things up for a minute. Just, I want you to understand, because as I said, the book was written by a group of people, and that group of people became a nation. It was an individual that multiplied and multiplied and become, they were separate, right? As we know, that the Most High, chose these people above all people that were living on the earth at the time. And through them, he will establish his laws, statutes, and commandments, right? And he had a relationship with them, and he listens to them, and he gave them laws, and he gave them everything that would protect them and keep them, right, in the right frame of mind, right? So we understand when someone else have this book, someone that's a non-Israelite that's speaking on behalf of the story that they're reading from the book, they must understand that the story doesn't belong to them, right? When you read it, you don't see yourself in it because you're not a part of that group of people, right? You're not a part of that. You're not a part of that flock. And this is why when you read the Bible, at times you're going to hear a lot of things. You're going to see a lot of things. Because people are going to try to change the story just to put themselves in the book that don't belong in the book. You get me? So when you read the book, you're going to see a lot of things saying that, oh, go out unto the Gentiles, and these are the things that, but prior to that, these people have never had a conversation, and they were never told by the Creator to go out and to teach other nations. They were solely, you have to understand, the Most High chose them, right? They were chosen. They weren't chosen to be prophets unto other nations. They were chosen to be prophets unto their people, that nation of people, right? So the Most High had never said, okay, I'm going to choose these people and they're going to be, remember, it wasn't when they started out, but, we're talking about Abraham, right? Was the first. Isaac, and then, all the way down to Jacob. So we're talking about on the in-betweens, right? We're talking about Moses, we're talking about Aaron, we're talking about all the different, people that exist between that time, from that time until this time. And that bloodline still exists, and those people still exist. They didn't go anywhere. They're scattered among the nation, just like the book has told you. They talk about, they prophesize about themselves, what would happen to them in the last days. Their prophets prophesied about them. The Most High, right, talked about them in the last days. So these people, they have their plan in place. And what was going to happen, and this was because there's a blessing and there's a curse. And if they follow the blessings, everything would be perfect. But if they follow the curse, then they will inherit those negative things which they inherited during the transatlantic slave trade and all of these other incursions that happened during that time. So that's the curse. Now, the curse is not going to last, as you would say, the blunt. So the blunt part of the curse where people have been abused, and it was a dedicated attempt just to oppress them in that moment and time. So as you understand, time will change. So there was a time when they were on the plantation and they were beaten and they were treated a certain way, right? Differently. And as time, kind of goes by, the fist, the closed, tight fist begins to loosen a bit, right? Do you understand me? Because now they are finding out who they are, right? They start to realize their struggles. So the main part of the punishment, you understand me, just subside a little bit. Just, that's it. It didn't go away, right? Because the punishment still exists, because the curse exists, and because they didn't repent, right? They didn't repent. And when I said repented from what they did or what their ancestors did in that time, then they didn't acknowledge yet. So there's a time that the Most High set in place for the other nation to rule. And during this time, these nations that are ruling, right, they have the information here, which they perverted, a lot of it, but they will rule for a certain time. And after their rule, after their time is coming to an end, the Israelites now are going to wake up. So this cycle is going to happen where the Israelites are going to start to realize why they're being treated this way, and they're going to remember themselves. They're going to remember who they are. Eventually, they're going to, so you don't need, as I said before, we don't need social media, YouTube, Instagram to remember this. So when you see these people who trying to orchestrate some, some conspiracy, are trying to keep the Israelites from learning about themselves, are taking books off of shelves, buying books that contain historical facts and information that prove that the people are who they are. And so these group of people who are doing this, these demons who are doing this, taking these information away from the public, so the rest of the world would fall victim and they would all fall together in their wickedness. Now, these people are paying very close attention to the Israelites and to make sure what they think they're doing is delaying the inevitable, right? But it's impossible for them to do that. You can't go against the Most High. You can't change what's going to happen. You can't change. You can tell yourself that you're white, you're whatever you are, right? The Israelites are the Israelites. You can't replace them. They cannot be replaced. Do you get what I'm saying? Genetically, they are a group of people that the Most High said that he's going to rise them up in the end, and they're going to be a people unto him. So there's no way. Even you kill 1 million of them, they will still exist, right? Just like the book says that, the leopard can't change his spot. Can't. It's impossible, right? Because that's who the leopard is. The Israelites can't change who they are because that's who they are. They have lost their identity, right? They have been discontinued from their heritage for the simple fact that they went against the laws, statutes, and commandment. They went against the covenant that the Most High and the promises that the Most High made with them. They went against that. So this is the downfall. And the downfall consists of certain, lifestyle that you're going to have to live once you fall into that, into that curse. These are the things that you're going to reap from the curse. Because none of it will be positive. So they will be treated as such, right? And we're going to get into details because we still had to talk about the Holy Spirit and these things. As you know, last week we have to give, thanks to everyone that came into the comment and asked their questions. And we're looking for more of that. People who have questions about the Bible, question about their faith, question about Christianity, their lives, things like that. I'm very open to have this conversation with you guys, or to have this dialogue, or to converse with you based on those things. So I want you to feel free to ask any question regarding the book, and we can challenge that, whatever it is, right? So, the Bible speaks about the Israelites, and because the book speaks about them, and because there's another group of people that claim that they are Israelites and claim that they are the new believers, right, in this Jesus Christ thing, right? And that they are the replacement of who the ancient people are, as if the ancient people got destroyed and then they begin somewhere, right? But according to the book, the ancient people did not get cut off. See, all of this is modern thinking and conspiracies that people are trying to influence the population, the global population, to have them believe that the Israelite no longer around, so nobody need to worry about anything, right? And to be comfortable living your life in sin, or not I won't say sin, in wickedness, to continue doing wickedness, to continue doing ungodly things, right? Because the Israelites are not around, and we have a new group of people to represent that. But then the people that represents it, you understand me? And I don't want to say characteristic, but they don't have the zeal that the people that the Most High chose have, right? They don't. And these people who've been indoctrinated with this idea, right, to prolong this idea, saying that Christians are the new believers and they're the one who replace, and then they will create stories around that to justify, their existence, saying that they are the ones, right? And when I'm saying this, I'm not paraphrasing at all. Say they are the ones who are the new believers, and the Israelites, the ancient people, killed the Messiah. So the Messiah don't want to have anything to do with them. Is that true? That's a lie. Right? So let's get into Romans 1 through 14. This is what you're going to read. Romans 1 through 14 to find your answer. Right? So let's go to okay. Sorry, Romans 1. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Let me see, because I want you guys to have a deeper understanding of everything that's been said here. And it's very important for us to know the truth, right? And if we don't know it, we're surely going to fall into judgment. So we need to know what the truth is, you know. So first let's go to hold on a second. Let me just find this here, because I want to make sure I have everything. Okay, so let's go to 14. Let's read 14, because I want you to understand this in chapter 14. Romans 1, chapter 14, right? For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by their nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their countenance also bearing witness, and their thoughts, right? Their thoughts, meanwhile, accusing or else excusing one another. Excusing one another. In the day when God shall judge the secret of man by the Messiah to the gospel, as they put in the book. Behold, thou art called an Israelite, and retest in the law, and makest thy boast of God. So you'll be proud to say, or you'll be proud to call the Most High name. So the Bible is telling you now in Romans 14 that the Gentiles, that if they contain that the law itself, because they didn't get the law, right? So now we're breaking this down. I don't get into the details of the scripture here, but to give you a context, right? The law wasn't given to the Gentiles. So therefore, when the Bible say sin is the transgression of the law, then only the Israelites who got the law can create sin, or sin in God's eyes to the Most High. What he considered sin to himself is disobeying the law that he gave to them. So, as you know, in chapter 14, there, the Gentiles, which have not the law, they don't have the law, right? So, this is where we're going to understand it. So, when we say Gentiles, it means that you're a non-Israelite, you're a non-Hebrew Israelite, right? That's what a Gentile is. So the law wasn't given to them. It was given to a group of people. Now, this is why I'm saying this. How did the other nation get this book? Because the law was never given to them. So how did they obtain this information, right? And that's the problem. That is the problem. So let's go to, where is it? Because, it's so many things that's been tampered with in this book. So many different things, my brothers and sisters, that's been tampered in this book, that if you lose focus of it, I'm telling you, you're going to fall. You're going to fall. So the book tells us about, and I'm talking about Romans 1, New Testament through 14. You know, the book tells us about the Israelites, right? Who are Israelites, who pertain to the adoption and the glory and the covenant and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises, whose fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, that the Messiah came. Who's concerning in the flesh why the Messiah? See, so the Messiah again, concerning the flesh why Christ came. So Christ came for the Israelites, as they would try to change this and tell you that no, that Christ came for everyone. But again, Romans, and let me find it here. Let me get this other book. Let me get this other Bible here. Romans, let's find it. 1. So my people, it's very important to know the truth, and before we make a commitment in the earth in our lifetime, right? Before we sit here and draw claims on what is and what is not, without knowing, the facts about certain things, we're leading ourselves down the wrong path. And because we believe, and not I believe, but because many of people believe in the Christian faith and what the pastor says, according to the state, right? According to, what the government, deems for him to say, and how he should teach people. You understand how they should be taught, right? How they should be taught and how they should be accepted and what they should do to gain whatever this everlasting life is, or salvation is, or whatever, how they considered it to be, right? That's what we're doing. So we have some questions coming in. I'm going to get to that. So, but I just want you guys to have a deeper connection with what the scripture is saying, right? Let's see. Let's find it here, because I want you to understand that there are much within, and as we turn everything and change the language, the modern language into different things, you find that, there's a lot of changes in the book. You find that there's a lot of changes in the book as we use different words to change some of the things that are written there. So it gives us a different outlook on things. You understand? So I don't have Romans 1 in here. Okay, but and now, as I said, you'll read the scriptures and it will change. It will change drastically, because it will tell you that the adoption, and it will tell you that the giving of the law, and all these things are pertaining to Israel. And not only that, if you go to, and then you'll find that they will try to change the scriptures to try to include the other group of people into it. So if we go to what's this, Romans 4. So we go to Romans 4 chapter 14. Okay, let's go to 14, right? Romans 4:14, right? For if they which are of the law be hearers, faith is made void, and the promise made of none effect. And the year that the hears. So we're talking about the people that inherited the law. Now someone is trying to change the scriptures, right? That, faith is none effect. Faith has no effect, right? So this is how they change certain things, because the law worketh wrath. For where no law is, there is no transgression, right? And they're correct about that. Where there is no law, then there is no transgression, right? And when we're talking about the transgression of the law, because the law transgressing the law, that bring about sin. What the Most High within His promise, His agreement and covenant with the Israelites stated. Therefore, it is of faith that it might be by grace to the end. The promise might be sure to all the seed, not to that only which is of the law, but to that also which is of faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all. See, this is where they try to include themselves by tampering with the scriptures and trying to change it, because when you read the Bible, it's not telling you about other people. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you find small tricks like this where they would try to change the writing in order to establish themselves, if you will, right? To put themselves in the book to say, see, we're here not by faith or by law, but the law was giving. That's it. The law is the law. So they will say they're not spiritual Israel, and they talk about spiritual this and spiritual. Spiritual has nothing to do with the physical, okay? The law that governs the physical is the law that governs the people that live within the physical plane. It has nothing to do, right, with the spiritual. So they'll tell you, oh, it's a spiritual thing. So it's if we're spiritual Israel. Christians will say that they're spiritual Israel, but that's a lie. So as you read more through Romans, you're going to see a lot of things here. Let's go to. So you will see a lot of things, right? And I'm telling you, my people, Paul letters is where Christianity kind of tie themselves within the scripture, or try to tie themselves. I want to say they tie themselves. They're trying to tie themselves by denying the truth and denying the word of God, denying what the Most High said, and disrespecting His commandments and disrespecting His people at the same time, and saying that He's a liar. And what He says, don't work. But what they say, because they want to be a part of it, is best for them. So this is what we have to know before we begin to commit ourselves, which a lot of people do commit themselves to becoming Christians and disclaiming the Hebrew Israelites, saying that the Israelite had no place. But the promise, right? The promises, the adoption, the gathering back in, adopting, taking them back in, right? And the glory, right? The covenants and the giving of the law, the service of God, right? And the promises, who's the Father, and of whom, as concerning the flesh. Who is the Father? Concerning the flesh, Christ came. So we're not talking about spiritual. We're talking about physical people. Concerning the flesh, which Christ came. Christ came in the flesh, right? Concerning who? The fathers, concerning the people that the promise were made to. Basically, so therefore, when they try to turn things around by reading Paul letters and trying to put themselves in the book, but they don't belong in the book, right? So when you read the book, you will see for yourself. You will see for yourselves, because it's all there. Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. So we let me get into the question, because I just want to clear up some things, that when you read this book, there is so many things there that if you don't pay attention and know the truth or the facts about it, you'll be engulfed in a bunch of lies, right? Greetings to everyone and welcome everyone. Welcome. So, we have a question here. Is being descendants of the Israelite the key, or knowing the Most High name, or both? Well, the key are knowing the Most High name. The Most High name is important. Apparently, as you have read the Bible of many times, the name has been removed for reasons, right? For reasons that the heathen or the Gentiles remove the name from the book. right? So when we say God, we're not talking about the name of, the omnipotent, right? And we say omnipotent, we're using these words because, uh, they're not names but are titles that are given, right? So we're one that governs all things. So when we say even the creator, we're talking about one that create all things, put all things, or the one that created all things out of nothing, becomes something out of him. All thoughts and ideas came from. So we're talking about the creator when we're saying it in this, in this aspect, with this respect, we're saying that the creator, not men who build houses or use material that exists and build houses and take material from what already exists to do something with it, or to put an image or a frame together so the physical eyes can see. We are talking about someone that created all things, have the ingredients for all things that you see, the earth, the trees, the plants, the fruits, your eyes, your hair, every single thing he has, right? He has the ingredient for it, and he created it out of nothing. He didn't take it from something, right, to do that. Like we would take some tomatoes, some onions, something, but we're taking it from something that already exists. So we're not creating, we're just merely playing with the things that are here. We're experimenting with things that already exist to get what we want out of it. That's the difference, right? So the name of the Most High, we say God, we say, all different type of thing, but that's not his name, right? We know that's not the name. We're talking about God is just a title. So see, when you use this in the Bible, say God, and the book even says that we're gods of the earth. So which God are we talking about when we say God, 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 right? And if we know the origin or the etymology of this name, we have to go back to Germany. This is where the name come from. Speaking in the English language or utilizing the English language, this is what we get. The modern terms and the words we use today, right? How much we meditate on them, what effect it will have if we sound them a certain way, we don't know. What type of connotation, we don't know, right? We can evoke anything using these names. You understand what I'm saying to you? We only know that we can align our consciousness, align our common sense with something and say, this is what I mean when I'm saying this. So if I say table, whatever name, table can have multiple names, but I'm saying table to you, but you cannot read my mind to know whether or not is this, this object I'm talking about, right? I have to show you and say, well, this is what I'm talking about, right? So see, this is why names are important, because people can misinterpret things, based on, okay, we don't know what you mean when you say this. So when we say God, what are we talking about? Which God are we talking about? The gods of the earth that the Most High say we're gods of the earth, or the God that is above all gods? So when we say, we have to be careful when we're using these terms, these titles, when it comes to the Most High. So knowing the Most High name is very important, but no, we don't. Right? We don't. You understand? So knowing ourselves as a people, right, is important for us to find ourselves and to know this. So it's not just the name. We're talking about bloodline. We're connected because of blood. So there's a genetic coding, right? Like when the Most High was creating people within the seed, right? Just like if you take a seed from a pear or a grape and you plant that seed, it has written coding, right? Right? Information is written in there. You don't know it. It's just like you build a computer and you write program within a chip, a microchip, right? And this information will be able to give certain function to the computer, to give function to certain aspect of the computer, right? Whether it's the power supply, whether it's the display, whatever it is, right? This is what the information is that is written in that simple, that small little, as small as the seed is. It's the same thing with what we call semen that comes from the male, you're right, and transfer from the male to the woman. Their information, it's alive, right? With information written inside of it, what this person is going to be, what they're going to do, how tall or short. Every information is written. It's amazing. You just can't see it with your eyes, and a lot of people don't even think about that either, right? But this information is written, right? So people that are connected already by the Most High, already connected because of the seed itself. So each time a seed come from this batch, it has a connection in it. It has a written essence of a person existing within that seed, right? And this information and the blood, which is the consistence of life, ties these people together. So they all are family members, right? So this is how important it is that other people cannot replace them because this genetic marker, right, exists within them and only them, right? So this is how this is how it goes, right? So the name right now is not there present in our mind to call upon. Even you have the Hebrew Israelites saying Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Yah. We say all kind of name because when we read the Bible in Psalms, it said, it's there's a name there that David called him Jah, right? That he who ride upon the wings of the wing, which is Jah. Now we know, according to modern study of Hebrew language, this language has been lost. So we can't say whether or not this is the language that were spoken by these Hebrew Israelites. We're only going based off of, assumption. So we'll say that, well, this language it said Yah, which, okay, we can go back and we can research based on the English language, right? We can say, well, prior to the 1800s, the letter J was never there, right? It was I, and the I and the Y made the J sound. We could say that based on the Greek text, based on those writings, that it wasn't there. There's proof that it wasn't there historically. So we can go back and say, well, this wasn't there. So their sound Jah maybe wouldn't have been a sound that existed before. So the name, so even when we say Jah, right, which with the J, these are new inputs, these are new creation, right? Our new invention in the English language. So how do we know whether or not it's Jah? So now you find that Israelites who say that they are familiar with the Hebrew language, right? And they know the Hebrew language or what it, how it sounded or what it sounds like, they could give a sound to the word. They say it's Yah. So when I say Jah no more, we say Yah now because we understand that it a change and the things. Because you can't cast a spell, right? You cannot cast a spell if you change the wording, right? So if we say Abacadabra, right? That's the word that we're going to use to open the earth and water come up. Now, someone in Chinese can come and use another sounding word because it's not going to work, right? So the sound of the word and how you pronounce the word is going to activate whatever it is, whether it's a spiritual thing, whatever miracle it is, whatever it is that, you know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. So we have to know the sounding of the word properly. So there are many things that are missing that, needing for us to focus on. But the main objective is to serve the Most High. He will create all things. He who created all things and put all things in existence with all your mind, your heart, and your soul. Right? If we know it's not our book, can we read it still? Well, sure, of course. I think the information that was stolen from these people, and it's available that any person with common sense or with knowledge want to know, are curious to know what it's about. I think it's curious. You can read it, but not because everybody read this book mean that they understood what the book is saying, or do they get the full picture of what it's saying or what it's trying to convey. Even though I'm saying that's gone through translation, so we understand there's a lot of changes within in the writings. But I think anyone with a curious mind who wants to know the truth, I want to understand what's happening in the world and what happened in the ancient world, and this is the only manual that give you some kind of understanding of that. Of course, you can read it. Anyone could take the book and read it. reading it, interpreting it is two different things. See, understanding what you read, right? So you have to understand that. So you have to know exactly when you're reading this book, what it is, what you're going to take from it. Are you looking to take something from it? Because many people who become Christian based on this book, right? A lot of them don't read it. A lot of them were taught like from someone else. Someone read from the book, right? Influencing them, right? Are telling them this is what it means, are giving them an explanation of what the scriptures mean. They don't know themselves on their own, so they're taking it from someone. So someone is in control of the information, and they're able to dictate what it is that the book is saying. Is it true because the pastor say this, or because you took time and you read the book yourself because you want to know? People just want to say they love God, right? The term God, because that doesn't represent the real God. So the God, right? The title. Many people would say, yeah, but there are many gods, right? Every nation around had their own gods before. Not the Israelites alone. The Israelites have their God. There were other gods and other tribes and other nations of people who believe their own thing. So when we're saying this God, we have to know what we're talking about, who we're talking to when we're saying this, right? Who we're talking about when we're saying God, right? So we have to know when we say God, G-O-D. So some people will, fall for this term and they're looking for salvation, as a lot of people and I know, as they reach a certain age and they decided that they want to be a part of the church. Some people are in there younger because their parents forced them into it, and they've been converted into Christianity. You understand? And you find that the elderly people who looking that, well, my life on the earth is probably almost expired. I need to become a part of something that when I die, I'll be saved. And, this is the candy, right? This is the candy that's been fed to the children. Oh, you die, you're going to go to heaven, and it's beautiful and flowers and everything there, and the animals on this, and all of these fantasies that they, depicted in the books and imagery, and all these things imprinted in your mind. And you think that when you die, this is a place that you're actually going to go and it's going to be okay. And all that you did here, you're not going to die. You're never going to experience death, because everlasting life, to all people perceive that, it's not about dying. It's about transcending to another place, right? This is what it is. So but they don't understand, Christians, and I'm saying directly to Christians and other people who believe that. Everlasting life itself is everlasting. The essence that gives the physical movements, that the physical are able to move and to act and to do things, that essence, right, is a part of the Most High, can never die, right, unless the Most High himself destroy that, right? So life is already forever, right? So what we need to do is to serve the Creator. So anyone could read the Bible if you want to read it, but learning about it and getting information, you have to go to the Israelites. They know the law. It's in them. Whether they know it or not, it's in them. And soon as they begin to open themselves to accept their Creator, they're going to find that, oh, well, I know this. I know this already. It's like reading a book and you say, wait, but I'm familiar with all this information here. I've read it before. And the information resonates with you already. So it's within your DNA. It's just that time to put back into it to activate those things. It's already in you. Okay, let me see if there's any other. Today's topic is we're going through the Bible, as we said, is the Bible a complete word of God? And we're at part 10 now. Basically, we're trying to establish, because I want, when we finish this, if we do get to the ending of it, people will be able to read the Bible now, understanding that don't take the book for face value, because there are many things in there that are not correct. And James, do you believe in God? Well, of course, it would be unreal for anything that is living not to believe. And when you say As I said, we talk about God and God being a title. We're talking about the essence, right? And we're using word. I mean, word. We can't play with word, but just for some understanding, right? The creator, right? He who created all things, put all things in existence. Yes, I believe. And everyone that is living has to believe as well, because, you know, when you look at yourself as an individual, right? And you have no control over the things that are happening to you. I mean, you have no control over your growth, right? When you're young to when you get older, you have no control over pain, the pain that happen in your body, your eyes when your eyes fail, right? If you get a cut, you have no control over the healing process to speed it up or to slow it down. You have no control over that. Neither do you have control over life or death, or to make changes or alteration to yourself. And I'm not talking about going to a surgeon and let them operating and making alteration. I'm talking about having the ability to do that yourself without outside help, to shape and to form your face and mold into whatever you want it, to stop your hair from getting gray, right? To make your hair grow longer, just to fit the expectation of society or whatever it is, to make your muscle bigger. You know, we have no power over that. And because we have no power over that, then we know that someone else does. Because if we had it, we would have been able to change ourselves, right? We would be able to change our appearance at will. We're not able to do so. It means that someone created us, right? And because of that individual, whatever label or name that they're giving to this individual, we said the creator, we said he who put all things in place, right? All things that never existed, he who put that in place, that is our creator. He is the one responsible for us being here. So yes, we believe in he who created all things and put all things in existence. Yes, all is connected, as I said, because of genetic, but there's alteration because of the creation process. The creator himself would know who is aligned with who and who is not, and how much percent of blood and how rich this blood is and how poor this blood is. So he would know how to divide things, even if it come from the same pod, right? So even the seed come from the same pod, right? He knows how to divide them, to separate them, and to make them uniquely different, right? So we could say we all trace back the sons of Adam, right? We go back to Adam, but we're not all the same. We're different in thinking, right? So we're not all the same. So even we go back there, because a lot of time people say, oh, well, we're all of the sons of Adam, and said, yes, we are. True. Out of the sons of Adam, there are people that are chosen out of that. See, not everybody can be a manager. Not everybody can be a lawyer. Not everybody wants to do that either. You get what I'm saying? Not everybody a mechanic. Not everybody pursue these career. I'm talking about career as an example, right? So throughout the creation process, the Most High know who he wants to represent what he wants, right? He decide what he thinks best based on his ideas on creation. I want these people out of all my creation that I'm going to create. Now, it's within the creation where you find people becoming more biased and hateful and jealous and envious of the other. When you start to look around now, it's like the cat looking at the lion and say, why I have to be this small? Or the cat looking at the leopard or the tiger and say, why am I small? You understand me? Why am I small? Why I couldn't be like the size of the tiger? And the tiger say, why I couldn't be the size of the lion? And the lion say, why I couldn't be the size, of the elephant? And everybody have their own place. Everybody has their own part to play, right? And you're not the one who created yourselves. So therefore, we are a part of the movie, right? The writer of the movie, the creator of the movie, and the characters, we're just playing our part. Who are extras are extras, who are main characters are main characters, who are the star. You understand what I'm saying? So the Most High would have chosen who he would have known within their heart, or what he put within them to be that good, or be that good to him, or to be not good to him. So it's his movie. Okay, you want someone to die early in the first scene, you die. Do you understand? He wants you to live and surpass the age of the average. He let you live. That it's him. He's the one who decide all of these things, not the individual that people that are the creation would turn around and fight each other because they feel like they've been left out. And this is why the other nation hated the Hebrew Israelite, because they feel like they weren't included and that they're not. But the Most High would have known, searching the hearts of men on the planet. The other nation have a choice, because the freedom that the Most High gave to men when he created them, you have to understand that, right? If he didn't want you to have a choice, he would have created you where you only serve him and nothing else. But he allowed you to choose. And that's the freedom that we all got. And what do we do with that freedom? What do we do with it? You understand? So that's the problem. Right? So when the Most High would have searched the hearts of men and knew that, okay, these people are this individual. Let's not talk about people, because a lot of people kind of misunderstand when we talk about the Israelite as if they were a bunch of people that were chosen at the same time. No. It was an individual, and out of him. Right? Wasn't many people. One person, because of his goodness, right? The Most High said, I'm going to reward the seed. One of your seed, whichever of your seed that is good, I will take this one as a promise. So remember, we have Abraham, right? And out of Abraham, we have Ishmael and we have Isaac, right? 2 sons and 1 were chosen. So they came from the same pod, right? But they were different. They were separated from the womb because of the Most High work. He said, listen, this is not the one that I want. This is the one that I want. You cannot ask me or try to ask other people, why did he do it? It's the Most High do whatever he wants. If you decided that you want to paint some pictures and you're painting it to the best of your ability, right? And when you paint, you feel like, well, something is wrong with it, because you already know within your mind how you want this thing to be. You know it. It's not looking good, but maybe people who are judging on the outside say, no, it's good. Nothing is wrong with it, but you know within yourself that, no, this is not what I want. So you crumble the paper up and throw it away, right? People would be mad, say, no, why are you throwing it away? It's good, it's good. It's good to you because you don't understand, right? You don't understand. See, it's wrong to you because you don't understand that the Creator himself create things and he could destroy things if he want or please. We need to stop framing the Most High, saying that, oh my, he's a loving God, because this is what you learn from Christianity and the heathen who did many wickedness in the earth. Think about it. What the rampage that Christianity went on, and the murdering and killing, and talking about Christianity and Islam, and the killing and the bloodshed that they did. And they want to comfort themselves now, saying that they're righteous and they're serving the Creator, right? They did so many wicked things. And they want to continue to do what they want to do. But they don't want to face accountability, right? They just want to do it and get away with it. We have to understand this. The Most High will build and he will destroy. It's his creation. He could say, you know what? I'm molding the mountain. The mountain don't look good, not to my perfection. Destroy it. Let me try something else. He could do that. This is the ability that the person who are creating have, to destroy, to retry again, and to do again, and to do whatever they want, whatever they please. They are the creator of whatever it is. So they could change it, they could destroy it. To you, it might seem painful because it's someone that is living like yourself. So you'll feel probably, oh my God, it's hurtful to see something like this happen. To the Most High, it doesn't affect him, right? To the Creator, it doesn't affect you. If you're creating something and it doesn't look good, you throw it away. If you're writing an essay and it doesn't sound good, you roll up the paper and throw it away, right? That's how it is with the creation. The Most High created men and women, and he chose who he wants to carry on his work. 2 brothers, 1 were chosen. And then we go to Jacob, Esau, and Jacob, right? It was the first brother didn't get the blessing, just like Ishmael, the first brother, didn't get it either, right? But the second brother, which was Jacob, right? He got the blessing. You understand me? So this is how the Most High deal in His creation. We have to understand Him. We have to understand the most simplistic, right, things before we start to cast judgment and start to steer claim into things and try to put ourselves into things where we don't belong. A cat is a cat. Cannot compete with a lion, right? You can't. And this is the problem here, what's happening in the earth with us as people. We're competing with each other because we want to be better than the other person. And this has to do with low inferiority complex. When we start thinking like this, it means that we feel that we're weaker than the other person and we want to dominate them, right? So it's not going to resonate with a lot of people. So this is why they're fighting for a position that they think is a high position. And everybody within this world as living beings here are fighting to be on this level, right? But this level, if it was given to the lion here, the cat cannot attain it. You will never attain it, even for a moment. And let's be realistic, right? Even for a moment that the cat were able to conquer the lions, right? And trick them somehow, right? And have them doing things that is not in their regular characteristics, right? Change their diet, change everything because of maybe influence, right? And we're able to control them for a period of time. How long you think it's going to last? Because that information that was written within the lion, right? It's going to come to the surface. Even the generation past, 5 generation past, this information cannot be destroyed. It's going to come back to remembrance. And when it does, the lion is going to tear this cat to pieces. Do you understand me? And this is what it is with us. For people, we're chosen by the Most High. You cannot replace anybody attempting to do that. You're not only that you're evil and wicked and going against the Creator. You understand? You're opposing the Most High boldly in front of His face, saying that you don't think what He did was right. There is no place for you in the kingdom at all, not even on the earth. Do you understand? You cannot oppose what the Most High put in place, right? So we have to understand these things. So I want, when we read the Bible, we have to be very clear about how, we ingest certain things. Because we already know, as I said before, that the word has been perverted a lot of times. So this is why you read with an open mind first. You just don't take the Bible and say, yeah, this is the foundation of my faith, and this is everything, and it's the word of God, and I believe every single thing it says. When you do that, you're shorting yourself from the glory. You're taking yourself, or you're taking away the glory from yourself. You have this, your 10 score, your 3 score 10 on this earth here, and you hadn't figured out that there are evil people living here, the wheat among the tare. You understand me? That living here. Remember when the Messiah came? Remember the same person who tempted Abel from the beginning, right? Let's not go to Abel. The same person, right? The tree of knowledge of good and evil that was in the middle of the garden with Eve, who tempted her to do things, negative things, right? The same person who tempted her son, Abel, Cain, to kill Abel. The same person who visited the Messiah when the Messiah came and tell him to jump off the mountain and he'll give him up. The same person exists. How could you live comfortable without understanding this? He's still here doing the same thing. He's always been around, tempting you and telling you and going inside your thoughts and telling you do this, do that, do this. He's still here. He never went anywhere. He's still here doing the same thing. What makes you exempt? What would make you exempt from these men, these men of high spiritual heights, right? What makes you exempt from getting tempted by this dark force? You can't escape it. So the same thing that did all of these things are still here. So the facts is there. You can't think, that it doesn't exist while it does. Right? So the way we read the scriptures and how we interpret it, we have to be very careful. As I said, 3 scores, 10. This time you have to figure out yourself in the earth, to learn and understand that which is truthful, not to be an ant that follow crumbs. Take these things that are valuable and analyze them, meditate on them, question them. Just don't swallow them. Oh, here's a pill. This is good for, pain in the joint, and you just swallow it without asking question about, okay, what am I taking? What's inside of this? You get what I'm saying to you? You have to learn these things, my people. You have to learn that. So it's not about we just believe because someone say so. Because I say it, mean that you should take it. Oh my God, he said it. It sounds true. Things will always sound true to the mind. It'll always sound a certain way, but if you're not deep into meditation and deep into that which is righteous and truth, you will never know whether or not it's true. You have to go back to yourself, learn yourself, understand where you are, how you exist in this world, right? And question the information that is put in front of you. You know? So I read the book earlier, and if the Most High had said something before in the book, in the beginning, right? If the Most High said, before one of my words pass, heaven and earth will pass away. Why would he say that, right? It means that, why would he say that? This is what you have to think about as individuals, right? Someone that's using their common sense. This is the foundation of all things. Your common sense teach you everything that exists within this world today, right? When someone say that and you're reading it, before my word pass, the heaven and the earth shall pass away. Right? This would make you think first, like, okay, that means it would be impossible for this person to lie. That's what I would see right away. It's impossible for them to lie. Now, I would put myself in place of this, right? And I would say to myself, if I have the ability to know what tomorrow is going to be, when I'm going to die, what's going to happen in the next minute, the next second, the next 20, could I make mistakes? Would I be able to make mistakes? No. It would be impossible for me to make a mistake because I know everything. I know when the sun will set, what time it's coming up. I know when the seed is going to burst from the earth. I know everything. How could I make mistake? This is why the Most High stated that in the book. Before one of my word pass, mean if I lie, if something I say didn't go the way that I say, it mean everything has to be destroyed. It has to change. It mean that I've erred. How could I have erred? He's telling you how impossible it is for him to err, right? It's impossible for him to err when he said that this is what, and it's impossible for you if you put yourself in this space, right? To error, if you know what the days and the months and the time and the seconds going to be. How could you error? You can't make mistakes. You're perfect in your thinking. Everything you know it before it happens. How could you make mistakes? Very simple, right? Now with that, if the Most High said that in the beginning, before that, how could later on in the book something contradict what was said in the beginning? It means that there was a lie that was created after. Because the Most High say this, then we're going now and say, wait. This doesn't sound right. It means that it don't belong there. It means that someone is trying to be tricky, right? Someone is trying to deceive you. Someone is trying to put things there, right, to change your perception. So you have to think about that, right? You have to think about that when you take the book, when you take this Bible up, when you take this book and begin to read, you have to think before you open it and don't talk about, oh, everything here is true. No, it's not. Everything in this book is not true, right? There are information there that is based on truth that was exaggerated, but you have to read the whole thing and understand what it's saying. As I said to you, read it, understand what it is saying. Because if you don't, you're going to be misled. The Messiah wouldn't say that when he came. I came but for the last sheep of the house of Israel. He would have never said that if it wasn't true. As I said, the Creator, the Most High, all his words, whatever he says is truth. Cannot be a lie, cannot change, because that's what he says. There's no error or mistake in his word. or the heaven and the earth would have not been here. Mean that we who live today and exist within this physical world today would not exist right now talking. We would not be talking, watching, and doing what we're doing now. It means that there was a lie that was told and everything had to change back. This didn't happen, did it? It means that whatever the Messiah said that he did came for, that's what he came for. That I came but for the last sheep of the house of Israel. You say, think that I came to change the law? No, my friend, I didn't come to change the law. Not one tit, one tot from the law shall be changed until what? All be fulfilled. It's very simple again. Did he lie to us? Now, if something else in another scripture is going to contradict this, then we know. Well, we know what somebody is lying, trying to change. And the fact that when you read the book, there is so many confusion because you have other cultures who are trying to fit themselves in the book who don't belong in there. This book was given to, there was an individual. And that individual had son, had daughters. They multiply with each other. They become a nation of people that are relatives. They stick together. They live within a certain area. A promise were made with them and their creator, right? The creator gave them a place to live, tell them and give them laws how to conduct themselves, what to live by. These people were connected. Auntie, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, whoever you want to label and title them, they all are connected by blood. They are called the Israelites. What we know today, right? They're called Israelites. And these people documented their journey. They had interaction with unseen forces. They documented it, right? And this information passed down from generation because they stick together. So the information passed down from this one to that one to this one to that to generation, right? Somehow they broke the law. Within their book, the law that is written there, within their book, their information, their literature, right? It's stated within their literature that there is a blessing and there's a curse. Within their book, not from the outside nation, right? Not from the other nation that they encountered. It's their information writing about themselves and what their encounter that they have with their creator. And other people or groups of people that they encountered. Within their law, in their book, or on their scrolls, speak to remind them that there's a blessing and there's a curse. And if you go and live by the blessings, then everything is good. But if you go to the curse, this is what's going to happen. This is what happened to the Israelites. They were kicked out according to historical documents in 70 AD. Right? They were kicked out of the land because they didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandment. Right? Now, if this law has been passed down from generation to these family members, just like your family, like your great-great-grandmother had a ring. When she married, she wore that ring. She died, she passed it down to her daughter, and her daughter passed it down to her daughter, and it came down from generation. It's in this family, untouched by anyone outside. This is what the scripture is. This is what they call this book Bible is. It was passed down to a group of people, not the world, not everybody. Everybody's feel inclusive now because the book has been stolen and it's been publicized, and everybody feel like they're a part of it now by reading it. Become the standard within Christianity, as Christianity took this book, right, as a part of the foundation of their religions or religious practices, and they use this book, right, or the writings, some of the writings that were used and others that were perverted to formulate, right, what this ingredient is today, and everybody reading it and believing what they want to believe from it. But the truth that exists within the book, right, reveal the lies that exist in the book. So this is why you have to read very carefully to understand what's going on. So if the Messiah said, I came but for the last sheep of the house of Israel, then it's true. He said that I'm going to raise up a horn in David to save my people, right? We're finding problems now when the other groups comes in who don't belong in there. How did they become Christians? How did church get in the book and all these other things? This is the new idea that's been painted among the truth. You understand? This is the new thing that's been painted among the truth. Is to bring in a new group of people. The replacement theology begins, right? It begins now where this other group of people now is going to claim that they are, because now they're the ruling power. They represent. How did the information end up in their hands? How did it end up there? It wasn't, it wasn't shared by the Hebrew Israelites, right? It wasn't shared by them. It wasn't. It wasn't given to the other nations of people. It was taken by one group of people, and that group of people tried to use it as a control to control others, and they went around and they conquered everyone that they could to convert them to become that. This is what Christianity is today and Islam. That's what they've done. After the Israelite fall, this is when these two major religion came about. Do you understand me? They were fighting for who was going to be the most influential, right? And the most control or convincing religion. And this is what they did. It's a competition between both of them. So we have to go back to the book if we want to know truth, man. It's all in the book. Truth is there. You can't hide it. Right? It cannot be hidden, man. It's right there in front of your face. You read it for yourselves. You'll see it. So let's get to what's the other question? Then what is correct name since we don't know the language anymore? See, now, as I said before, the name would be irrelevant. It's like, if for example, I just show you some lines on a piece of paper, right? And this is why I said you have to use your common sense, because we can say this is the language, right? But I couldn't write many characters on a piece of paper, right? How could you or anyone out there determine what the sound of those characters are? See, when a character is written, an individual, someone has to give sounding to each characters, right? For them to have a place within a language, right? That means someone has to give. So it's either the Most High, right? Or people themselves who created a new language, right? So you cannot talk about an ancient character if the people were cut off from that time and they've lost their language. This is my thing. You cannot know the sound of that character or tell me the sound of the character and how those people used to say it. You can't know that. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So you'll try to make something up, but that's not what it sounds like. How would you know if actually a descendant speaking the same language didn't speak that sound so you would understand, right? If ah is ah, or the line that has the twist on it means ah, that's what it means. You can't change that, right? How could you change it? Or how could you determine that that's the sound of that character, right? If you didn't hear it. It's like if I didn't see A before, B, C before, how would I know that it's A, B, or C? How would I know the sound? Take a baby now if you want to do that experiment, right? You take a baby, right? And don't say nothing. Just put the whole alphabet in front of him. Don't speak nothing around him, no English, nothing. Just isolate him somewhere else and see what's going to happen. And show him the alphabet. Just show him and see what he's going to say. If he's going to make a sound of it. No, he can't make a sound of it because it's not in him. He never heard it before. So therefore, he would probably use those letters to create something different or to create a sound and give meaning to that. Would have been a new language. So when we're talking about the ancient language, if people didn't, the descendants didn't carry that language all the way across, you cannot determine whether or not that this is the actual sound of the word. We can say anything we want. We can lie to ourselves all we want and say, well, this is the Hebrew language. We can say whatever. We can say based on the characters, right? That it's the language, but the sounding of these characters, are they pronounced the same? No. So we can't say, oh, I'm going to school because I want to learn Hebrew. Who speak Hebrew? Unless someone speaks Hebrew, a descendants from the people to this time, then you can't say that you have this language or you know the sounding of the language. So they talk about, Paleo Hebrew, right? And they said nobody know the sounding of it. So how do you know the modern one? It means that the modern of what they claim is created. So it can't be the same, my people. So when we're talking about the name of the Most High, right? It's difficult to talk about and to make an argument about the name of what the Most High is. As I said, within our present moment and time, I can say that the Creator, right, according to the English language and the definition of Creator, right, I could use that and said, well, I'm relating this, right, or this title to that consciousness, right? I'm relating this to this consciousness that has formed all things and put all things within existence. I could say this if I'm talking about He who created me and you, your mother, your father, my hair, you understand? My eyes, my nose, my teeth, bones, skin, blood, everything, the individual, that essence, that consciousness that did all these things, I can say He is the one, right, that we should all honor and glorify. You understand? So the name itself, you cannot try to debate the name of them unless, and nobody can bring this to me saying that they know the language and who taught you, which university you went to learn it, because you cannot tell me that. There's no way you can tell me that you learned this language unless the sound of this language was passed down from that time to now. You cannot put a tone to that character. It's impossible to do that. If you put a tone to that character, it means that you're creating your own sound. That's not what it means. So even when we use these characters to say, well, this is what it, no, it don't. No, it don't. See, it's not a brainwash again. It's another brainwash, another deception again. People are living in this illusion, right? They're living in this bubble of confusion. You got to wake up. You got to wake up, man. It's very simple. It's not difficult to see. But you got to open your mind. Open your mind. Use the very thing that the Most High didn't create universities, but we think universities are part of our moral compass. This is something that's going to make us wise and intelligent. Intelligent for what? Intelligent for what? Well, learning trigonometry, learning all these things to do what? What are you going to do with it? You're not serving God with trigonometry, right? Biology and what are you serving God with that? So when you say that you learn and academia makes you smart and wise, what is the purpose? What is the end goal of this? Really? Right? You went to school because academia is not based on survival out in the wild. Right? It's based on a confined environment, right? And this confined environment is where you practice these things to sustain the environment that's been confined and the regulate rules that men put in place for the society. So that's their standard. You go to college, you get a better job, you're able to function, within the academia space, using academia, right? It's based on that. It's not make you wise. Most I never created that. He didn't give you that. All knowledge that he gave you was inside of you, the common sense. The same person that came up with academia, common sense. The same person that claimed about doctor, lawyer, common sense. All of it started here with an individual, and individual had to it over the year. They say, oh, this guy thought of this is an amazing idea. And you saw something else. You said, this would be great if it because ideas keep, and this allows something to evolve to what it is today. So it wasn't just formulated back then and then that was it. No, it was, it was improved upon to what it is today. So it's not the standard of anything. We learn it because we're living in a society that it's needed. It doesn't make you smart. You're not smart. You just learn a recipe to go out and to function within that environment or society. That's it. But your efforts in learning that is not serving the Creator. Think about it. You went to college for probably what? From 18 to probably 21, 22, 23, different time, right? 5, 6, 7 years in college, right? Have you spent 7 years serving the Most High? Have any of you spent 7 years dedicatedly, like how you dedicate yourself to academia and your studies? Have any of you for 7 years, studied the God that you claim that you love so much and that you claim that you want him to save you. No, it's not about him. It's about you. It's about your survival. It's about what you need, what you want now, what you want to gain to make your life much easier. It's not about the creator. Who cares about the creator? Right? Who cares? Have you been there? Have any of you studied for 7 years straight or the whole of your entire life studying because you said, yo, I love the creator and this is my thing that I'm studying. I want to know and graduate with the highest knowledge about my God. Yet we speak about, oh, I love God. You only love God for the securities that you think when you're unable to function within the physical world and you're leaving the physical world because you have no will over life or death, right? And you're going to die. We are all going to die. So now let's find some security after death. So we would go to this place that you read about in the book, but you haven't studied the book. You only heard about pastors and other group of people talking about heaven. What do you know about heaven? But you want to go there because this is the final stage for you and you want to exist forever, right? In the abundance of things. That's what you want. You haven't studied for 27 years trying to learn about the creator dedicatedly as I got my homework, and you put yourself and you separate yourself from going to the club because you have this important test. You have this important piece of article to write. You have to study. So you separate yourself. Have you separated yourself for the Most High, the God that created you and put you here to exist? Give you the opportunity that without him, all the things that you seek would never be possible. Have any of you done that? You understand what I'm saying? You get where I'm going. See, we might say things, whether it's casually or not. We might say these things like, oh, I love God. But really? Love him? Really? You do? And our action don't prove or show the same. As we would say, we do love him, but yeah, our actions are different. Man, listen. So, the language, as I said, we can't say that as we with common sense, it will tell you this. I don't want to say things because sometimes you say things and people think it's a joke. You know what I'm saying? We could write any character we want. We could write any character we want, give it a sound. Tell me what language is it? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. We don't know what character it is. We can say whatever it wants. See, I could write. I don't know if you guys can see this. Probably it's not gonna show up here. Right? It's not gonna show up. Maybe it's on the day it's not gonna. But anyway, I could write any character to you. And if I write this character, you cannot tell me the sound of it. Unless I, who write the character, give you a sound to it. So, if the people that spoke the language, right, those people were discontinued from their age, they mean that they lost who they were. They lost their language, everything. Just like the transatlantic slave trade, when they came here, they had their language and they lost it. They were beaten, right? They were all beaten to change and not to speak that way anymore, right? So the language would have been lost. There wasn't a recorder there that someone was recording the language or the sounding of the language, right? It wasn't recorded. So not the slave master said, well, wait. Before we beat them, wait a minute. Get the recorder for me. Let me record the language first. And then we're going to beat them and get the language. And we're going to preserve the sound of this language so we later on can learn it. No, they didn't do that. They were beaten in the moment, right? No one anticipated anything about the future of what the language would have been, or would it disappear? They didn't care. It was all profit for them. Beat them, get rid of their language, and they have to learn and speak the way so they could understand us. That was it. So when you talk about the Hebrew language, if you cannot tell me which descendant passed it down, then you cannot tell me about that nonsense, right? You have to come to me and tell me that did it come from here? You could trace the English language back to where it originated from, right? So we know it's the English. It came from there, and it ended up into the Americans, who are a lot of the descendants are English and Irish, right, and Spanish, and this language were formulated out of that. So we know it coming from somewhere. So it passed down. It was preserved. The sounding of it to the original, we know it's a slightly different because the original still exists, right? So we know that from German, it's Germanic language and different parts and how this language was put together, right? It is documented, right? So we know exactly what it is. So it doesn't change. Yeah, so the name, we don't know the name, and it wouldn't be a debate to even talk about it, because to go back into the history of it, we would be lying to ourselves. Even we'll go back to the writings on the wall in Egypt, you know. And I believe I spoke about Egypt before, and the writings on the wall in Egypt. I know they try to interpret, these outsiders trying to interpret, you know, and they don't know. But welcome to everyone. And thank you, thanks to everyone who commented and leaving their questions. Let me see if there's other questions here where we can get into. Okay. T Walls, man. Long time, my brother. Big up yourself again. So let's get to, okay, which one is this? Yes, good evening, Mr. Mine. Good evening, good evening, good evening. In Matthew 5:4-8, is God expecting humans to be perfect like he is? I don't think that the Most High expect us to be perfect, right? Because if we go back to the beginning, in the beginning where Eve was tempted, right? When the book tell us about the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? So, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil was an individual. It wasn't an apple tree as people think it is, right? The tree of knowledge of good and evil was this individual who was there, who know both good and evil, right? Because he wasn't an earthly being, right? But he was there. And he was warned that, the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the middle of the garden, you shall not partake in anything with this thing, because it's going to come. And that's exactly what it did. He revealed, and let's just clear it up as we're here right in Genesis, so you can get a deeper understanding of it, right? You understand? So let me find it for you guys here. So the tree of knowledge, right, as it was there in the beginning, and it revealed the things that weren't supposed to reveal, right? Wasn't supposed to be revealed unto man at that time, right? And he said unto the woman, God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, but of the fruit, which there is, and let me go down further. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. So this is where he's trying to convince her that you're not going to die, right? And this is Genesis 3, chapter 5. For God, listen what he said, God know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as God, knowing good and evil. You know what he said? You shall be like God, knowing good and evil. You will understand that very thing that you didn't know before, right? You only knew good. Evil was something that men, when they were created, they didn't know it. But the tree of knowledge of good and evil revealed this to them, saying, oh, you're not going to die, Eve. Come on. Just eat it, because in the day you eat it, your eyes are going to be open. You understand me? And now you will know what God knows. You will know what you weren't taught before. And this is it. Good and evil. Now you know it. Now we know this, right? So now that we know what God knew, he didn't create us to know this, but he warned us, right? We were warned about it. in the garden, and who was there, the tree of, right, which was good and evil, who were in the garden. It was there. It was him who knew what God knew, because he was in heaven at one point, right? And he knew good and evil. And the creator that created man know good and evil. Man themselves in their creation didn't know that. They learned this later on. This is what altered the course of men later on. The very interaction with the individual that knew good and evil. This is how they learned this. This is how they had this idea that this idea wasn't there in their thoughts before. Right? So that's Genesis 3:5, right? For God does know that in the day, right, he heat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as God, knowing good and evil. Do you understand? You shall be like God now, knowing good and evil, something that you didn't know before. Now you know it, right? So the Most High don't expect us to be perfect, because now there's a choice that exists. And because of this choice, it's difficult sometimes for us, because there are things now, because remember before, if you only knew good, then it would only be one way to go. But now there is a split, right? There is good and there's evil. Now there's two roads now. And when two roads exist, now there's a decision which direction to go. And because of this, we're conflicted many times. And we often make mistakes many times because of this decision we have to make now, which weren't there before. This is why the Most High say, when he gathered Israel again, he's going to write into their hearts the law. So therefore, they wouldn't have this choice anymore to think outside of that, right? They wouldn't be able to think outside of that. It will be written in their hearts, right? So the law would be written in their hearts, and now they would no longer need anyone to tell them anything, because I know it, you know it. We don't need to talk about it because it's in me. No, it's a part of my function, right? Just like you're hungry, you want food, and you eat food, right? Nobody have to tell you to eat. You know when you're hungry, you go eat. We know when to worship because it's in our soul. It's in our essence. It's a part of us now, right? So that's what it is. So it's very clear. It's very clear what the scripture is telling us if we read with understanding. So he's not expecting us to be perfect. He knows that we can balance these things because the Most High are able to balance it. Not only that, he did it, but the Messiah came and were able to resist the temptation. It's all about being obedience. Being obedient, we'll be able to transcend and graduate from the lower state of thinking, or our lower state of thinking, right? We'll be able to graduate from our lower state. But perfection is there. And it's how we define perfection, right? I would say perfection is the completion of one's desire, to how you see it completed within yourself, and to how, like you would have two. Let me explain this as an example, right? Two persons building a table, and we have people judging the table, right? And each carpenter build their own table to their perfection. It's perfect to me when I build it. I see nothing wrong with it. But we have people who are judging, right? They will be able to criticize whether or not between the two tables which one is better, right? But to me, within my consciousness, perfection, I achieve that. I achieve that perfection. You understand me? Without outside consent. You understand? Without outside comments. My design is perfect, right? But not perfect than the Most High or what he would see. But in my realms of thinking, right, I only see this table 3 feet wide by 3 feet, in length, or 3 feet in circumference around. And I see that I need to put some design or whatever I put on my table. And I do that out of my consciousness, out of my understanding, to the fullness, right, of my ability, or I am capable to do this or execute this. That's it. It is perfect to me. Now, if I have to share it with someone else, this is where we're going to have, because if someone else is thinking more or see things further than the average person, then they will criticize your work and saying, "Ah, well, this could have reached to this height." You see? So, there's levels of thinking, but within your own, thoughts, and to the level where you think and you cannot go beyond that, you're perfect within your thoughts, right? Doesn't mean that everything you do is true. Do you understand me? This is why you have to leave room for learning, because not a person just don't reach here and stop. When you stop yourself here, it means that you're not pushing yourself to understand more or using your common sense more. So you stop here, right? So you have to allow yourself to break the barriers, keep breaking these barriers. You never stop learning, basically. So you can be perfect while you were younger within your actions and within what you do. It seems complete, right, to you. Whatever you did when you was 5, 6 years old was good. Nothing wrong with it. You didn't complain about it. Neither did you question it. But as you get more mature, it means that now you have learned through experience more things. Now you see, to go back, you can judge when you were younger now. You said, "Oh my God, I was so stupid." Many people would say that, right? But you weren't stupid. Not at all. You were perfect within the time, right, that you were doing whatever you did was good. Nothing is wrong with that. So men striving are expecting God, expecting us to be perfect. Any father would expect the best from their children. Any father would want the best for their children. This is why you go out, work, and sacrifice for them. Same thing the Most High would want for his children is for us to be, perfect and to be in that reality or in that space. We need to be there. Is it impossible to achieve? No. Because the way that we view or the definition of, being perfect, how we look at it today, we think it's not attainable. And we're completely wrong. So you have to look deep into that, you see, it's a difference. It's a complete difference of how, when we talk about being perfect and what the Most High expect of us and how we should live. Every father, parents care about their kids, and their expectation of them is always high. So they're looking for you to fulfill things. We can't be like the Creator, cause pay attention. Why we can't be? The Most High said, the Messiah said, right? I'm sure you're in Matthew. The Messiah said, you'll be one like me. In the end, you say, you'll know when I come back and I return, you will be one and we are one in the Father, right? And being one with someone, I've explained this in previous videos, right? To be one with someone, right, is not, being, I don't want to say synchronous. It's not, like molding yourself, cell by cell and becoming a part of that person's thoughts and your two brain just merged into one. No, that's not what the oneness is. We're talking about obedience, utter obedience. That's being one with someone, right? When someone is obedient to you and they honor and respect you in everything that you say to them, they will listen. Everything that you tell them to do, they will do, because they know that your word is valid. They know everything that you say is valid. This is why the Messiah believed in the Most High. He didn't care about nothing else. He said, "I didn't come to do anything of myself. Only what the Father said." And when you are obedient, because the Most High is who He is, He's able to work through the Messiah. His powers, right? His glory is able to work through the individual that would be obedient to Him. It cannot happen to us because we're not obedient, right? This is why we're unable to wield certain ability. Why the prophets were able to heal and do all these things? Because they were obedient. And because of that, they were able to access things that the average person who wouldn't follow certain things and do certain things are unable to do. So the Most High said, "You'll be one with me, one, and we're one in God." We are not God because we're one with Him. We're obedient to Him. So we're one. So now the energy, right? The essence or the substance that would travel in the root, from the root of the tree to the branches to the fruit, all of the branches would get it. It wouldn't be now that one branch is withered away and it cannot bear fruit because it's not being willing enough, right? And not allowing itself to take the substance that's coming from the root. It refused, think it could sustain itself. This is how human beings think. We think we can sustain ourselves. So we don't need the aid of our Father who created us and know best, right? We don't want that. So we want to go on our own, to stand our own 2 feet, to do whatever we think within our consciousness that this is best for us, and it's not. So you become one with the tree, your branches, your fruit, when you begin to open and allow, right? Allowing, right? Allowing the substance to flow. And when it flow, every tree, every limb, every leaf, every fruit on the tree is what? Flourishing. Beautiful, amazing. But when it's not allowing, you find that one branch cannot produce fruit as the other branch do. Do you understand? So be one with the Most High, be one. The root will allow. So being one with it doesn't mean that you have control. It means that you can be able to utilize, right? You'll be able to utilize the substance. You'll be able to utilize it, right? To nourish your fruits that hang on your branches. Do you understand me? Because you're one with the root. Very simple. So we have to be one with the Creator, as the Messiah said. We're one in Him. We're one. So when they came, when Christians are trying to tell you about the Trinity, all of that is foolishness. The power of the Trinity and all of this nonsense, because they're trying to. But the Messiah already tell you. He didn't lie when he said, "Listen, don't believe on me, believe on He who sent me." Was he lying? Why everybody tried to go against what he said? He said it. He said, "Listen, don't pray on me, pray on He who sent." Okay, well, I don't want to believe that. You still want to say that He's God, and He's telling you that He's not. He's never said that. Okay, you want to say God because He said that we're gods of the earth too. What does that mean? Does it mean that we're creating anything? No. We're not creating anything. It means that we have a position, we have a high position over the lower creatures, right? The Messiah, because of His obedience to the Creator, have a high position over us. Simple. Very simple. Obedience is the key to becoming one with someone. If you have a woman, she listens to you, you have a perfect union with her, you have a perfect relationship. If she don't listen to you, what's going to happen? Are you going to flow? Is this energy and this goodness going to flow between you and her? No. It's going to be conflict, it's going to be arguments, and soon it's going to be separation. It's simple. To become one with someone, that's why the book tells us in Genesis. A man shall leave his mother and his father and take a wife, right? And become one with her. The man and the woman become one. And becoming one is not just a physical thing, as people think. It's not a physical thing, right? But a spiritual one. So being obedient, right, is the key to being one with someone. And this is what he's saying, what the Messiah said before he leaves. So when he returns, this is what's going to happen. We'll understand it. Because at the time when he's saying it, they don't understand what he's saying. They had to ask him many times, what do you mean by this? And you have to explain to them and say, well, okay, when I return, you will know. You know, these things will come to your knowledge now. You come to remembrance. Now you don't know it, but soon you'll know it. So yes, my brother, mine, all parents expect goodness from their kids. Expect, and if we want to say perfection, whatever it is, all parents expect the best of their seed, and they want them to do the best. This is the right thing to do. So being perfect, as I said, being perfect, and how we use the definition doesn't mean that, because we can say we're perfect in wickedness as well. We're doing all that we do good. So, the word is very biased, right? So you have to understand that, right? Within a person's thinking, but this perfection that we're talking about has two sides to it. And how do we view it? How we look at it from where? Perfect in what? Righteousness. Perfect in serving the Creator. Perfect in what? You understand? So doing good and declaring the laws and the statutes and commandment of the Most High. Is that it? Love the Most High with all your mind, your heart, and your soul. Perfect? You want to be perfect. Serve the Most High with all your mind, your heart, and your soul. And love your brother as you love yourself. Right? This is what we do to attain perfection. The perfection that Most High expected from us. Not the perfection that are limited within our consciousness or within our common sense to do, but the perfection that surpasses all things. Love the Most High with all your mind, your heart, your soul. Love Him. Embody Him. And that's what it is right there. Yeah, not everything there is true. Not everything in the book is true. And I want my people here to understand that. I want us to, to get, a full understanding of it so we don't fall short of the glory. As I said, 70, which is 70 years we have on this earth. And some of us don't reach 70, right? Very few people go to 100, 101 or 90 years and they fall from the face of the earth. Not many people that even reach that age understand who the Most High Creator is. Right? But as children of God, this is next question in mind, of children of God, shouldn't we be perfect like He is? See, you can't, we can strive. We strive to do good because of the temptation and the forces that exist, right? The forces that exist, as I said, I read to you in the beginning in Genesis 3:5, right? Your eyes will be open. He said, God know that your eyes will be open. Now you will know both good and evil. This is something that we didn't know before. And because of this, it creates a conflict in how we perform in our daily lives. We always have, you'll be walking down the street and your mind tell you to turn left. Why did you turn left? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we turn left and we go into something tragic. We end up into a tragic situation. Sometimes we go right and, we don't know what we escape if we didn't go right. So we don't know, right? But, we, based on these two rules that exist now we have to always make a choice. And this is very conflicting for a lot of people to decide which one is actually correct. And this is why the Most High say He's going to write the laws within our heart. Then nobody would have to teach each other no more. He will remove certain obstacles that's preventing us from focusing on doing that which we're supposed to do. As I said, the very people, the very person that tempted Eve and Cain and to the Messiah and all these prophets, he's still around doing it. Listen, this thing doesn't need sleep. It has all time to go around and see your thoughts and how you process and your receptors and go through them and just play with your mind and put all kind of things inside your thoughts. Because we created that by listening to Him, right? By listening to Him, the information that we didn't know, now we know it because of Him. Now He has access to part of that. So now you have to be thinking multiple times when you don't sure which way to go, left, right. Sometimes you have to make a choice. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? We're conflicted when it comes to that. You understand? So we all we need to do is to be one with the Most High. As I said, to attain that perfection that He expects of us is to love Him with all our minds, our hearts, and soul. You cannot get it anywhere else. You cannot get it if you say you're born again. What so-called Christian come up with their ideology that you're born again and you're baptized in the name of your Jesus. You cannot obtain it because of that. You cannot obtain this because of that. You cannot obtain this because you say, well, I'm going to church every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and no. There's a difference when there are rules in place that you have to follow. And there's a difference when you create a space for things that is good to you. There's sacrifice that you're making for someone that is, that's been in your life or doing good by you. There's a difference that, okay, well, there's a schedule. I'm not going to follow the schedule. I want to show my appreciation. So I'm not going to wait for the bus. I'm going to walk. See, when you start to make steps like that, this is how you separate yourself now. Just like I said before, how many people dedicate themselves 7 years, right? Even 2 years, saying, you know what, I'm going to study and learn about my father, right? And I'm going to make this the most important thing. No, the most important thing in this society is you going to school. Your parents even pushed you into, kindergarten, pre-K, whatever, just to get your mind started to open up to the programming, right? You're in school. You would look at your brother and say he's an idiot because he didn't go to school. You'd call him a fool because you say he didn't go to school. So this is what you believe in. You believe that school is the tool for someone to be wise, right? But have you taken any time and give any times sacrifice to your God that you say you love so much? You understand? And this is the problem. You have to be able to sacrifice for that creator who created you. If you don't sacrifice anything for him, then I'm sorry. Yeah. Of course, we're perfectly made by him. We're all perfectly made. I mean, just think about it. You might look at me because we're different, uniquely different, but perfectly made. You understand? Perfectly made. So it's just our mental capabilities and how we process thoughts, what we think about. Those things are imperfect. But surely we are. As I said, perfect, there's many facets to there's many facets when you talk about perfect. We can say perfect in what? You can be perfect in many different things, right? And what we call perfect, right, would have been the completion without error in any form, any way at all. It would be completely desirable by everybody because we have find fault with nothing. Just like with the Most High work, we can't find fault with it because we cannot add to it or take. Neither can we taken away anything from it, right? So it's perfect in every essence. So if we're gonna go to that length to say perfection, then we're talking about what are we saying based on the definition of the word? We're perfect. We're perfect within, our physicality, what the Most High created us as who we are. The tone of voice that we have, our eyes, our nose, shape, face, teeth, everything uniquely, right, to him within his creation. It is. Nothing is wrong with it, right? Now, our actions, we would fall short because we're not emulating what the Most High say that we should. Therefore, we're going to fall short of a lot of things. You understand? And when we keep the law, the statutes, commandment, and do the things that he says, there's no way we would be falling short of being perfect in his eyes, not the eyes of men and how men think of perfection according to the definition, right? So there is a difference. Okay. So let's see. What is being perfect, as I just explained, is you loving the Most High with all your mind, your heart, and your soul, and loving your brother as you're loving yourself. This is the key. This is the key thing. When you start doing that which your creator the one that put you here, the one that make you exist. Not talking about Chase Manhattan Bank, Wells Fargo. I'm not talking about the factory that you go to work to earn a living. I'm not talking about the bosses. I'm not talking about the degree and the accolades that you accomplish. I'm not talking none of those things, or your graduation and how much subjects you have and all of these things. That has nothing to do with being perfect. All of those things are just recipes, ideas. Perfection is commitment, committing yourself to He who has put you here. Love Him with all your mind, your heart, and your soul. This is when you reach to that height. Outside of that, you will be conflicted. Why you think the Messiah came and you were able to resist? Because he served only who? The Creator Himself. So even when the devil tempted him and said, oh, just jump off of this mountain, I'll give you all of this. And what did he say to him? Get thee behind me. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So we have to know what we're striving for. So that's what being perfect is. Following, emulating your Father, the Creator, who has made you. You exist and I exist. I acknowledge that I have no power over myself, that only He has power over me. See, many people would speak, as I said, they speak about God, oh God, help me, and God this and God that for me. And, you know, as I said, if you believe that the Most High will protect you, and I'm saying this, if you believe that, then why would you go out to buy a weapon to protect yourself? It means that you don't believe that He will protect you. You're believing your strength, yourself, your defense. Do you understand me? But if you believe in that power, that it will deliver you in your times of need, then you don't need to get anything, right? You don't need to do anything else. This is a commitment that you have to find within yourself. Like you would sit and you would love a woman and give her all of your completeness, right? You have to give the Most High that. If you're trying to reach to this perfection that you're talking about. But as I said, the definition from where the Most High is expecting us to live and the definition of the word that we use in English, perfect, is two different things. Right? How do we grow our faith in God? Well, where is it? Okay, how do we grow our faith in God? Well, we know what faith is, right? Faith is the evidence of things not seen, but hoped for. So we have to know how faith is a spiritual thing. When we talk about faith, it means that we know something is there without seeing it, but we're connected within our essence, within our soul to that, which we know it's there, and we have no doubts in our mind that it's there. That means you would go at the edge of a building and you know that there's a platform there. You cannot see it with your eyes, but you know with confidence, without fear, and you'll just jump off that building. See, it's very difficult, right? When we say that now, a lot of people, oh my God, that would be difficult for you, is walking across the street. Faith, I'm telling you what it is. Walking across the street, moving traffic, driving at 100 miles per hour, and you walks right across, believing, knowing that you're going to cross safely because the Most High is with you without looking left or right. See, that's what faith is. Many people speak about it and don't know what they're talking about. Right? So we're talking about that's what faith is. How do we strengthen that? Is to believe without doubt in the Most High, just like I said just now. If you believe that the Most High will defend you, right, in your crisis, in your times of need, right, then you don't need a weapon to defend yourself. It means that this is the beginning of your faith, or strengthening your faith in the Most High who created you. I know for sure, 100%, whether you live or die, that the Most High is. This is what you have to have to the brink of death. You have to have this thinking, this confidence. This is how you strengthen your faith in the Most High, because you know it. And nothing can change or break or shake in your belief, because I know this is what it is. You will see it. So if you want to strengthen your faith in the Most High, the Creator, you have to love Him with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. You have to do these things first and know for sure He is there with you. Know that He loves you. You love Him completely, and nothing you put before Him. When I say nothing, I mean nothing you put before Him. And we're going to get into that subject when we talk about nothing. It's a lot to this than you think. It's a lot to what we hold on to here as sentimental value, or what we think is valuable based on what society deems it to be. A lot of us. Would you give up your child for the Most High? No, you wouldn't. So see, where we're talking about is deeper than what men consume themselves with today and believe this is right for me. But to the Most High, is it right? See? So there's a lot when we talk about we're serving the Creator and we're getting it's a lot more to it. There is nothing that you put before Him. Nothing at all. Because you can say whatever you want. You know, you would say whatever you want. You can tell yourself any amount of lies you want. But really and truly, who raised the children? Who raised the very first children that live here on the face of the earth, right? Who gave them life? Who saved them? You don't save anybody. You think you do. It's the Most High who saves. It's He who decides who died and who don't. Do you understand me? Who is going to live and who don't? Not you, with your emotion and feeling, telling yourself, oh, my daughter, she's not going to make it. This is why when Isaac was born and the Most High told him to see what he had first, or who was the first thing in his heart, and how much he believed in the Creator. I said, okay, carry him and sacrifice him. He wanted to see how far he would go. See, that commitment people today do not have. And if that's what you're trying to attain, perfection and faith based on, man, you have to go back to what Abraham did. You have to go back to there, that mindset you have to have. Because the Most High want to know that you are talking about Him. Because this is His creation, not yours. Not because you have a girlfriend or a wife and you have relations with her and things happen. You understand me? It doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be. That doesn't mean that you're a creator, you created anything. You get what I'm saying? Yes. So, that's the last question. I said, many people have their bodyguards when going out. Many pastors have their body. Of course. How could you have a bodyguard and you talk about you are a child of the Most High and the Most High, and you're as a pastor, as bodyguard? It means that you don't believe in the Creator. You can't believe in the Creator and you have someone protecting you. Who's protecting the bodyguard? Their guns, their ability. The Most High protect you. If you believe in Him, you don't need all these things that you claim. So we know the real people and the people that are not real, right? When you serve the Most High, you're not afraid of dying. Death is not something that you fear. So when you begin to fear death is when you begin to try to protect yourself, right? When you were younger and you didn't understand what death was, you didn't think about dying. You run around, you do whatever you want, you go on the edge of building. When you grow older and understand, you begin to value your life and existence within the physical world. Now you say, oh my God, this was so dangerous I was doing. You wasn't thinking. You have to live that way. And those days when you're a child, that is your purest state of mind. And I thank you so much again. We have reached to the time. And we definitely thank everybody for their questions. And I'm hoping next Friday, man, we can get more and more and more questions, so we can get, some answers to you guys. We thank you guys so much again for staying with us. We have a lot to talk about because this topic, it is so vast. There's so many things to discuss, so many things to talk about with you guys, and we're going to talk about them. So I definitely, appreciate all the support, everyone that tune in every Friday with us here on The Naked Truth. And as I said, we're finding resolution because we want to be on the right path. Within our 3 score 10, we need to know and learn the truth. Not when you die, you find out that, oh my God, this was this way. I didn't know. We need to find out today before our life come to an end. We need to educate our kids about what is truthful, whether we're involved or not. We need to speak the truth, whether I'm a part of it or you're not a part of it, but we need to tell the truth about what it is. Not because we're not included that we should lie and distort the truth. So I say this to you, my brothers and sisters out there. Love God with all your mind, your heart, and your soul. Love your brother as you love yourself. If you believe in the Creator that He will protect you, do not seek for protection outside. Seek only Him. Okay? And that's what I want you guys to do. And we'll leave you with those words. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. And we're looking forward to see you again because, the umbrella is going, man. We're here. We feel good. And the vibration. And I want you guys to stay tuned for ATO is coming up. We have artists in the house that's going to perform and do some things for you guys. So I'm looking forward for you guys to just stick around and just support. And thank you for your support and time here. And do remember, Deuteronomy 28 through 68, that's the chapter you should go through. Just read it, and try to get to know it. Until next Friday, we will see you guys here. So please leave your comments, leave message, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for ATO is coming up next. Don't go anywhere, and we'll see you again next Friday.